Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusos, the Cycling Greek. Can someone at risk of Afib still do intense training? You've heard me mention a study before where at-risk Afib patients were given intense workouts, 4 by 4 minute maximum intervals 3 times a week with positive outcomes. They improved their circulatory system and their numbers such as LDL count and did not have an increase of Afib incidences. I'm guessing that many of these started off as sedentary or semi-sedentary individuals. What about the athlete that's at risk of Afib? They're already doing a lot of training, have a good circulatory system and good numbers, and they're looking to improve their form. That is my situation.
There are many types of Afib. The actual cause of Afib is not known. Afib does seem to follow certain situations such as heart valve problems, high blood pressure, coronary heart disease, overactive thyroid, long-term endurance training, and stimulants such as coffee, tobacco, alcohol, and medications. Before I get into intensity training, for those of you not familiar with my channel, first some items of note. I have no structural problems such as inefficient valves that would have led to my Afib. I have taken low doses of beta blocker for a little over a year and still raced after my first Afib incident. Now I'm taking baby aspirin. I'm preparing for my 18th year of bicycle racing. Before that, I've done a few local tries and have been running. My racing age is 64, which means I'm not only at the butt end of my age category for age-related races, but also at the butt end of the regional racing demographic. I train on the bike 3 days a week, never 2 days in a row, and in the weight room 2 or 3 times on other days during the week. The key to my being able to do upper intensity work is managing my stress and fatigue through parameters that I have developed that you'll be hearing throughout the video. Some of these parameters have been developed through trial and error. In that study I mentioned earlier, where they were giving 4x4s to at-risk Afib people, I am guessing that the subjects did not go from 0 to 60 on their first workout. In my case, after each of my 2 significant Afib incidences, which were about 1 year apart, I spent about the first 4 months getting ready for an uphill time trial. After that time trial, I started to spend more time doing upper intensity work. As I alluded to earlier, the key for me is managing my stress and eliminating fatigue. With fatigue, I have to make sure that I'm well rested before getting on the bike or going to the gym. With stress, I have to be careful not to consistently hammer myself. I can remember one time when I was feeling pretty solid for quite a while. That means I wasn't having any funny feelings in my heart like a skipped beat or quick beats. And I decided to do 2 consecutive days of riding 3 hours each ride. After that second day of riding, my heart was starting to talk to me a bit. In other words, I was starting to get those little funny feelings again. About 2 days later, when I was getting ready to go to work in the morning, my heart accelerated for about 30 seconds and then it went right into Afib. I then took a channel blocker that a doctor had prescribed for such cases, and about an hour later, I was back into normal sinus rhythm. That taught me, stick to my parameters. As another example of managing stress, there are times when I have to take a significant jump in intensity for a workout. This usually happens at the beginning of a training block, particularly as the race season or my goals approach. An example of this is my most recent training block. As the season approaches, my first races are flat races. That means being able to ride fast, hang on faster people's wheels, and repeatedly put out huge amounts of power to answer and initiate attacks. During my first short flat ride of the block with teammates, I focused on very intense pulls and partially recovering under stress in back of a short 3-man pace line, and also maintaining threshold on 4-minute climbs. I did this for most of our 90-minute ride. That night, my heart was talking to me a little bit. After a dicey night's sleep due to the workout, the alarm startled me awake and I went into Afib, which fortunately only lasted for about 10 seconds. That next week, I had a similar workout with a slightly stronger group in which I actually hit failure, getting dropped at the final run into the sprint. That night and the next couple of days, I did not feel as exposed after the workout as I did with the initial workout the week before. The reason being that my body had adapted. My heart did not feel as stressed because my body could handle the stress better, because I had built up to it. Before any workout, especially an intense workout, I have to make sure that my body's ready to go. I do this by making sure that I get enough sleep, that I'm not fatigued. If I'm fatigued, then I'm going to go sit on the couch. The workout I'm about to do is part of a good training plan. In other words, I'm not hammering myself at each time I'm on the bike. I get a good warm-up. Now that I'm Afib boy, I find myself going to group rides 30 minutes before the start, just so I can get a good 20 minutes of warm-up in. Then I do all the recovery things I'm supposed to after my previous workouts, such as refuel, rest, and massage. And of course, as always, minimize life stresses that I have control of. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. I'm very interested in your thoughts. Remember, comment, like, subscribe, and click that little bell to get notified of my next video. The Cycling Greek.